Hi everyone, it's Debbie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. If you're new here, I'm a reseller. I've been reselling for almost 20 years and I absolutely love it. And today I have a what sold video for you. I'm going to share 25 items that sold for a really good profit on both eBay and Poshmark. In my last what sold video, I talked about how we had been just going so much on so many trips and just been really busy, and I was so excited. In January we had one last trip and then I was going to get to be home for a little while and actually get some work done. Well, it's been a whirlwind ever since, and I apologize for taking so long to get back on. We just got back from another trip. We went to Hilton Head, South Carolina, and it was amazing. And I think this is the last trip for a little while. And we've been home. This is the 4th day I've been home now. And so I am loving being home. I've had a lot of things for my husband's work. And then usually when I get back from an event that I go to with my husband, I immediately go the next day to see my mom and dad and children. All of our children are grown now. So when we get back, I'm usually headed right back out. So although I'm so grateful for all these opportunities, I am so ready to be home and just get to work and create YouTube videos. I've missed all of you guys. We're going to get right to it. I'm going to share some of my best items that I have sold since the last what sold video. First item I was so excited about. This was a Poshmark sale. I found this really pretty long red beaded dress. It was just so nice, and I thought this has to be something. The brand is Sherry Hill. I looked it up and the sold comps looked really good. I titled the listing Sherry Hill Red Long Formal Gown Dress, size 4, fitted sequin sleeveless top. It sold for $175. Earnings were $140. I paid just $12.99 at my local Goodwill. It took 24 days to sell, and my profit was $127.01. I was so excited when that sold, and then like the next week, I went to my local Goodwill again, found another Sherry Hill dress. Well, it was on the end of the aisle and it was all bunched up and it was heavy. I couldn't tell exactly what it was. It had all these little pieces that looked like mirrors at it, and it said Sherry Hill. And I thought, wow, that other dress sold for a lot of money. I'm going to pick this one up also. I got home and I started searching for it. I put Sherry Hill, I put reflective, mirrors, cut glass. I was able to find the exact dress. It retailed for $1,078. I was so excited. I titled the listing Sherry Hill Long Blue Mirror Dress, size 14, which was great. The other Sherry Hill dress was just a size 4. Normally I have a lot better luck with larger sizes, so it was a 14, was really exciting. Prom formal, one shoulder, size 14. On the listing, I put that I didn't see any missing mirrors, but there are so many. Please zoom in and look at the dress in case there are, but I did not find any. It sold for $440. My earnings were $344.03. I paid just $12.99 at my local Goodwill. It also took 24 days to sell. Wow, I just realized that both Sherry Hill dresses took 24 days to sell, and my profit was $331.01. So anytime I see Sherry Hill, I am picking it up. There was one more formal dress that I picked up just because it was so beautiful. I couldn't even tell what the brand name was on the tag, but I thought, this is so pretty, I'm just going to pick it up anyway. I titled it Sequin and Lace Long Formal Gown Dress, size 6, fitted champagne rose mermaid prom, and then I also put an S for small because I thought it would fit a size small also. I put tags in it of sequin, prom, formal. That's usually what I put for tags if it is a dress that would fit in that category. On the listing, I said something like, I can't tell what the brand name is. If you know and want to share that with me, I would appreciate it very much. No one ever told me. Sometimes people do when I say something like that, and people that look at the listings can be very, very helpful. So if I don't know, sometimes I ask if anybody knows if they'll help me out, and that has been beneficial in the past. It sold for $100. My earnings were $80. I purchased it. It had gone down to half price, so it was only $6.50. I purchased it at my regular local Goodwill. It took just 8 days to sell, and my profit was $73.50. And this is why I love picking up the prom, formal, wedding dresses. They do take longer to list. I might take 30 minutes to an hour sometimes to list an item like this, put it on the mannequin, all the measurements. But when I can profit $331, $127, $73.50. I think it's so worth it to spend 30 minutes or an hour listing an item for that kind of profit. And it makes me want to get back out there and see if there are more dresses like that. It is just after prom season, so this is a good time to look for those dresses. The next item came out on a new cart, and I saw something that looked like a fur coat. So I grabbed it, and I thought it was real fur, but it wasn't. It was faux fur, but it still sold well. This was the vintage Lou, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It looks like Nierenberg. I'll pop up the name of it. Tissevel faux fur coat, extra, extra large, fits small, medium, 6 to 8. It had the extra, extra large on it, but being vintage, the sizes can run so much smaller. So I felt like it really would fit a small or medium 6 to 8 better. It sold for $50. My earnings were $40. I paid just $12.99 at my local Goodwill. It took just 7 days to sell, and my profit was $27.01. I also found this cool vintage Liz Claiborne hat. I love selling hats. They're so quick and easy, and I have had some vintage hats that have sold for up to $100. So I try to remember to go look at the hats, and if they look like a vintage tag, I will usually pick them up. I've never seen them marked up super high. They're usually $2.99 or $3.99. This listing I titled Vintage Liz Claiborne Red Wool Hat, Wide brim, derby, church, flowers, zebra, made in the USA. And I even put on there that the ends of the bow were a little frayed. You could cut them off if you wanted to. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I'll pop it up. But I said I wasn't sure if the flowers or the ribbon were original or after the market, but still sold without any problem. It sold for $35. My earnings were $25.02. I paid just $3.99 at my regular Goodwill. It took just 4 days to sell, and my profit was $21.02. I put tags on there, vintage, derby, and wool. I learned a new brand that I am going to be on the lookout for. It is called Tucker Neck. This was Tucker Neck Haze shirt dress, size medium, blue, hydrangea, floral, mini, pockets. It sold for $60. My earnings were $48. I paid just $8.99 at my regular Goodwill. It took just 7 days to sell, and my profit was $39.01. When I was looking at all of my sales, I am noticing a theme that dresses have been selling really well and for a great profit. So sometimes I think, oh, they're a little more work putting them on the mannequin. But when I look at my items, when I was pulling the items that I made the highest profit on, dresses did really well. Another dress that I picked up that same day was Ivy City Company Vera dress, women's size medium, navy, nude lining, cutout. It sold for $40. My earnings were $32. I paid just $8.99 at my regular Goodwill. It took just 1 day to sell, and my profit was $23.01. It was such a pretty dress. Another item that I got that same day was the Quaker Factory Black Nutcracker Cardigan Sweater, size large. And then I put Christmas, winter, and holiday. I just thought this was cute, and being a nutcracker theme, I thought this will go well. I was on my way out and I just spotted it. It stuck out and I saw it was on half price. It was only $3.40. So I was like, I know I can make a profit on this. It might sit for a little while until closer to Christmas time, but I'll still make $10 or $20. Well, it sold right away. It sold for $39. My earnings were $28.22. I paid just $3.40 at my regular Goodwill. It took just 4 days to sell, and my profit was $24.82. Just a quick reminder, if you're new and not subscribed, I'd love to have you back. Just hit the subscribe button down below, and if you hit the notification bell, it will let you know when I release new videos. I find a lot of things are marked up at Goodwill, so it's almost like a game. What can I find that they did not mark up? I'll find a pair of Nikes that are in poor condition and I'll have them for $25, and there are certain brands that they know to just mark up. Well, somehow they missed a couple Patagonias. They came out on a new cart and I was so excited. The first one was the Patagonia Men's Better Sweater, 4th Zip Fleece Medium Stonewash Gray, and I put Gray and Grey so I could catch someone searching either way. It sold for $58. My earnings were $46.40. I paid just $7.99 at my regular Goodwill, and it took just 5 days to sell. My profit was $38.41. So I was so excited that that one slipped through the cracks and they did not mark it up. Then I saw another one. I could not believe it. This was the Patagonia Cotton Quilt Snap Tee Pullover, women's size small, organic cotton quilted. I kind of wanted to keep this one. It was so cute. And I told my husband and he was like, keep it. I was like, well, I'm going to list it. If it sells for a good amount, then I'd rather sell it than keep it. It sold before I had a chance to wear it, and I'm thrilled that it did. It sold for $69. My earnings were $55.20. I paid just $6.79 at my regular Goodwill. It took 1 month and 4 days to sell, and my profit was $48.41. Before I start on the eBay items, I wanted to mention what each line represents because I get questions on that a lot. The gross amount is the amount that the buyer paid. So that includes the purchase price, the amount they paid for shipping, and I normally always charge shipping, any taxes that they might pay. So that is what the buyer pays. Then the next line is the earnings. So that is what I get deposited back in the banks. So after I've paid the postage, eBay takes the taxes out, any fees that are taken out, promoted listing, final value fees, all that. That's what I end up with back. Then I take out the cost of goods, what I paid for the item, and that leaves my profit. So the gross amount is a lot more than the profit. I find normally it's around 50%. Okay, now for my highest profiting items on eBay. In my area, I live out in the country, I can often find cowboy boots, and I found they can be very profitable. So I always look for those right away, but they do mark them up quite a bit sometimes. This one was $24.99. But I looked up the comps and I was sure that I could still make a great profit. Now these were a men's size 8. So I thought, oh, I might not make as much because they are a smaller size, or they might take a little while to sell. So I was actually really happy with how they did. They are the Rios of Mercedes boots, men's size 8. I put the style 4851E, goat leather, brown, USA, handmade, and they retailed for $559, and they looked like they hadn't even been worn. They were so nice. They sold for $125.39. My earnings were $92.92. I paid $24.99 at my local Goodwill. They took just 22 days to sell, and my profit was $67.93. Another one that I sold, I was so excited to find this. I found this the same day that I purchased a lot of those other dresses. It was new with tags, and I put NOS for new old stock, vintage Jessica McClintock dress, size 16, black, white, Dillards, because it had the Dillards tag on it. prom formal. It sold for $103.53. My earnings were $68.71. I paid just $8.99 at my regular Goodwill, and my profit would have been $59.72, but they returned it. I put the measurements in the listing. I said, this is vintage. Vintage sizes tend to run a little smaller. Please look at the measurements to ensure a proper fit. And she returned it because she said it ran small. So she must not have read that, but she also was very nice, left great feedback. That is just fine. I know it will resell again. And often I will end up reselling it more the second time. So returns are just fine. I looked at my return rate today on eBay. It's 2.3%, so that's not bad at all. Next one was a really exciting one. I picked up this dress.
But it was called Missouri, and it was 100% something. When I was looking at sold comps, I saw this other brand called Salami.
This was the dress that I came across while shopping at Goodwill. I thought it was so pretty. It was 100% silk. The brand name was Zuri, which I was unfamiliar with. So I decided to do a quick search on eBay to decide if I was going to purchase it to resell. I put in Zuri silk dress and looked at what was currently available. There was a little bit of a range in prices, but it looked pretty good. So I went back up to the top so I could see what had actually sold and for how much. I clicked on filter. Then I toggled over completed and sold items, and I saw it was about a 100% sell-through rate. So I did decide to purchase the Zuri silk dress to resell. And while I was at it, I discovered a great new brand that I'm going to be on the lookout from now on. This dress is the brand Saloni, and it came up in the sold comps because the style name is Zuri. It caught my eye because it sold for $150 plus shipping. So I decided I need to investigate it a little bit further. So I looked up sold comps for Saloni silk dress, and they were really high. So while I was at it, I quickly went to the available listings. I went up to the top where it shows to sort, and I changed it from high to low to search from lowest to highest. Then I looked to see what was out there available, and I didn't save the search that day, so this is according to today. But the day I searched, I found one that was listed for just $6 plus shipping. So I purchased it. It was not a maxi dress. Those sell for higher, but it was still 100% silk by that brand, and I was sure that I could make a really good profit on it. The listing looked great. They had clear pictures, they had measurements, the title looked good, but it was just priced really low. And I find things like that all the time. People don't realize what they have, and they will mistakenly list something for really low. So I decided to purchase it. So I purchased it, received it in the mail a few days later. It was in excellent condition. I titled the listing Saloni. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but it's Saloni.
Saloni.
100% silk dress, women's US 6 floral belted lightweight button front. It sold for $88.36 back on eBay where I bought it for $6 plus shipping. My earnings were $59.87. I paid a total with shipping and tax $12.39 on eBay. It took just 8 days to sell. So it was 17 days from when I purchased it, and then when I actually got it and had it listed, it took just 8 days. And my profit was $47.48. So I love doing that. If I'm researching an item and I find a brand that is great, I will go and see what is active, sort it from lowest to highest, buy a couple items and flip them. It's really easy to just get inventory delivered to your door. The next item was a men's blazer. I found that's another item. Dresses and men's blazers are items that I sometimes think are a little bit of a pain. They take a little bit extra effort to list and photograph all the measurements, but they can be so worth it. This was the Ralph Lauren men's size 52XL 100% wool jacket, black suit coat blazer, and I put 54 inches because it had a 54-inch chest. It sold for $81.42. My earnings were $59.64. I paid just $6.99 at my regular Goodwill. It took just 9 days to sell, and my profit was $52.65. That makes me want to just go to the men's blazers every time I'm in Goodwill and check them out, because normally I find something really good. It might just be one or two, but normally there's something there worth a really good amount, and I never find those marked up very high. I even found a Burberry suit jacket not marked up in the blazers before, so that is a great area to look in. Another item that I found that same day, so I found two items in that area that day, was the Circle S men's suit jacket, 46L, pants 40, and then I put measures 39-30, black, ranch, Western, USA. It sold for $77.15. My earnings were $49.35. I paid $12.99 at my regular Goodwill. It took just 9 days to sell, and my profit was $36.36. I've sold this brand over and over again. It does really, really well. The next one was a brand that I had not heard of, but it was a plus size. It was very embellished. It looked so nice. It was Donna Vinci skirt suit, plus size 26, jacket blazer, purple rhinestones beaded. It sold for $66.05. My earnings were $47. I paid $12.99 at my regular Goodwill. It took 5 months and 1 week to sell, and my profit was $34.01. That was another new brand to me, and the lady purchased it, and she was going to her brother's funeral, and she was so sweet and so grateful to get this nice suit at the last minute. I had to ship it to her really fast, and she was just so kind and so grateful. I had it listed for a lot more, but I accepted 50 plus shipping, so she felt great about having something very nice to wear to her brother's funeral, and I felt great that I had it available and could get that to her. Sometimes, you know, you think reselling is not very rewarding, but I find that it's rewarding all the time, and something like that feels rewarding to me. The next item I saw was brand new with tags, so I looked it up, and the sold comps were great. I titled the listing, new with tags, $75, Kimes Ranch Vintage Cruise Sweatshirt, men's extra large, antique denim. It had on the tag antique denim, so that's what I wrote on it. It didn't look like denim to me, it was a sweatshirt, but since it said that on the tag, I put that, and then I put shirt. It sold for $60.60. My earnings were $37.97. I paid $6.79 at my regular Goodwill, and it sold in just 5 days. My profit was $31.18. I had never heard of that brand, but when I looked it up, the sell-through rate was great, and it sold for almost close to retail, so I'm going to definitely be on the lookout for that brand. The next item sold to someone in Australia. This jacket, I saw it and I just thought it looked neat. The comps weren't that great, but I thought, I think it will sell anyway. And so I went ahead and took a gamble on it. It was the Guess Women's Faux Fur Jacket Coat. Fits small 4 to 6, so it must not have had the size tag. If it doesn't have the size tag, I will say fits, and then I will put what size I think it fits. Dark teal toggle closure. It sold for $86.13. My earnings were $35.07, so much lower because it was international. The $86.13 is the gross amount that they paid, and then after all the fees and shipping and taxes are taken out, what I receive back in the bank is $35.07. I paid just $7.99 at my regular Goodwill. It took just 1 month and 9 days to sell, and my profit was $27.08. The next one I thought was pretty neat. It was a Polo Ralph Lauren skirt, and I noticed it had a QR code in it. So I scanned it, and it pulled up a page that showed that it was authentic, and it gave information about the skirt, and I have since found another one like that. So if you see a Polo Ralph Lauren item with the QR code, scan it and it'll give you more information about it. This was the Polo Ralph Lauren check print midi skirt, women's 6, blue plaid cotton button front. It sold for $59.79. My earnings were $38.86. I paid just $5.99 at my regular Goodwill. It took just 3 days to sell and my profit was $32.87. Next one I had to put in here, this one was my lowest profit one that I'm sharing, but it went to Switzerland. And so I always think it's so neat when things go to other countries. So I thought I would share it. Also, I wanted to tell you where I found it. When I go to Goodwill, I always check the rack next to the dressing rooms. I find so many good things on that rack that people try on, and I guess it doesn't fit. They're not looking to resell, but it was an item that was desirable that they just decided not to purchase. So I normally find 1 or 2 things, sometimes more on that rack, and that's where I found this. This was the Free People shirt, small, switch it up cuff, thermal, crochet, top, black multi. It sold for $58. My earnings were $23.39. Again, it went international, so that's why there's such a discrepancy between the amount they paid and the amount that I received back in the bank. I paid just $6.09 at my regular Goodwill. It took 25 days to sell and my profit was $17.30. Another dress that I got on that day when I bought all those dresses was this beautiful Tahari silk dress. I titled the listing, Tahari Arthur S. Levine silk dress, size 14, blue, sleeveless, floral, mini V-neck. It sold, the person received it, and they said they really liked it, but I think it just didn't fit them right, so they returned it. It sold again, and it sold for a few dollars more, so it all worked out. It sold for $56.13. My earnings were $35.80. I paid just $8.99 at my regular Goodwill, and it took just 4 days to sell. The first time it just took a few days, then it was returned, and then it took 4 more days to sell. My profit was $26.81. The next one I had to share because it was a viewer that purchased it. Thank you so much, Michael, for purchasing from me. This was a cool shirt. I really like this shirt. When I saw it, I grabbed it right away. I didn't even look up comps. It was the vintage Abercrombie & Fitch big shirts, men's large, red corduroy, button-up, pockets, USA. It was so nice and thick. The 54-inch chest, and I put that it was thick and heavy. It actually weighed 1 pound, 10.9 ounces. So I put that on the listing so that the potential buyer would know that it was a nice, thick, heavy shirt. It sold for $51.07. My earnings were $32.81. I paid just $6.09 at my local Goodwill. It took just 1 day to sell and my profit was $26.72. So thank you so much again, Michael. I appreciate so much you buying from me and being a viewer of this channel. The next one was a jacket that got so much attention. I even had someone ask me, did you list this for the wrong price? It should be more, but I was getting a lot of attention, but it wasn't selling. So I thought I had priced it correctly according to sold comps. This was the Eddie Bauer down coat men's large blue first ascent storm down 800 zip hooded. It sold for $53.37. My earnings were $38.62. I paid just $5.99 at my regular Goodwill, and I forgot to write down how many days to sell, so I will pop it up right here. And my profit was $32.63. I find down-filled items normally sell very well. These that are kind of slimmer sell really well. I noticed when we went to Europe, everybody was wearing this style of jacket. So when I saw it in Goodwill, I thought I'm going to pick that up, and it did get a lot of attention. One more, last one. This one came from a video where I was in San Antonio. My husband was on a work trip and I went thrifting, and I was having just kind of not a great day. And then I found this skirt.
It's the money.
The day. I had not heard of this brand, but it just looked like it could be expensive. And look at this waistband. I looked at the tag and that looked like it could just be something to me. Lloyd/Ford. And definitely my find of the day. And I was so excited because it retailed for so much money. I can't remember, like $400 or $500. And I thought it would sell for at least $100. It didn't sell for quite that much. And it's been 8.5 months. So I went ahead and let it go for a little bit less. This was the Lloyd Ford Palm Springs small pleated midi skirt, black gold animal chain print. It sold for $75.78. My earnings were $52.90. I paid just $5.99 at that Goodwill in San Antonio. It did take 8.5 months to sell, but that's okay because my profit was $46.91. And I've said so many times, when you get a question, answer it as quickly as possible because that often turns into a sale. Well, we were in the airport and we were headed home from Hilton Head, and I got a message and the lady said, I have several pieces in this brand, but they're marked like size 0, 1, 2, 3. Do you know what that's equivalent to? Well, I had no idea. It didn't say on the skirt, but I quickly did a Google search and saw that a small was equivalent to a size 1. So I took a screenshot of that, sent the message back to her. She sent an offer to me. I accepted. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to wait till I get home. I'm not going to answer this. She probably would have been off to something else. So I think it really does make a difference when a buyer asks a question. If at all possible, you can answer immediately. It often turns into a sell. Look at this. The buyer was from San Antonio, Texas. So the skirt was sourced in San Antonio, came home with me, and is going right back to San Antonio again. How ironic. So that is everything that I have for you today. I'm so sorry I've been gone for so long. I am so excited to be back home. So anxious to get to work again, listing and creating YouTube videos. And I love getting to share when I sell things. When I sold that Sherry Hill dress for $440, I was so excited. I was like, I cannot wait to tell everybody because you guys have really become my friends. I share with my husband. He's like, oh, great. You know, he's happy for me, but really different to be able to share with other people that are actually resellers. So thank you so much for watching, and everybody have a great day. Bye. This is a little bit of what we've been up to. We were lucky enough to go to a few golf tournaments. I have loved going running in such beautiful places. We went to several really great concerts. The first one we went to was Old Dominion. The next one we went to was Ryan Bingham, and I wish I could play some of the music, but I think it would be a copyright violation, but they were so good in person. And then we got to see Cody Jinks, so that was a lot of fun. I love going to concerts. But there is absolutely no place like home. I'm so happy to be back and love getting to go visit all of my little neighbor friends.